We know that children are significantly behind in their educational studies.
Big bucks to reopen schools. Governor Newsom and state lawmakers agree on a near $7 billion bill to get kids back into the classroom. Critics call it bribery. Democratic State Senator Caballero will join me exclusively.
Educators have not stopped a reopening or delayed a reopening 1 day, 1 minute, 1 second.
The third largest school district in the state calling an audible on their plans to reopen. How much of that was driven by vaccinations versus the power of politics and money? My exclusive with Fresno Unified Superintendent Bob Nelson and the Fresno Teachers Association President Manuel Bonilla. And our panel ready to weigh in, from reopening elementary schools in a month to reports of teachers wanting more money, and a city council member proposing hazard pay for grocery workers. Welcome to Sunday. It's KC24 Sunday Morning Matters.
Now, from your local election headquarters, KC24, this is Sunday Morning Matters with your host, Alexan Balakian.
And good Sunday morning to you. I'm Alexan Balakian. Thank you for joining us. And please join the conversation on Twitter and Facebook at Real Alexan. Use the hashtag Sunday Morning Matters. Along the way, a retired Army major who served in Iraq and Afghanistan with some insight in our troops currently under siege at a U.S. base in Iraq. But first, Governor Newsom signing a bill to get elementary kids back into school at the end of the month.
And with that, let's get that $6.6 billion out into the districts. Thank you, all of you, for your incredible work and leadership.
March 13th will mark a year since Governor Newsom shut down our schools as the pandemic was just starting to spread like wildfire. That's more than 6 million students statewide. This week, Newsom and state lawmakers agreeing on that $6.6 billion reopening plan. Now, under the plan, schools that remain closed would have to explain their reasons why, and they would lose 1% of the grant funding they are slated to receive for every school day their campuses remain closed past April 1st for elementary students. Here's the breakdown. $2 billion will go towards safety measures for in-person instruction like COVID testing, PPE, and ventilation upgrades. The other $4.6 billion will help school districts expand resources on campuses by offering summer school tutoring and mental health services. Fresno Unified slated to receive about $54 million, but the district says they may be able to receive another $25 million for offering in-person learning by April 6th. Joining me now is one of our local state senators who represents portions of Fresno, Madera, Kings, and Merced counties, Senator Caballero. Thank you so much for joining me on Sunday Morning Matters. Good to have you. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for the invitation to be here.
It was a busy Friday for you. You signed, along with the governor, signing finally pen to paper as lawmakers have been discussing this, that big $6.6 billion reopening plan to get schools going April 1st. Fresno Unified, as you know, will be ready to go April 6th. When you look at the money that will be coming into the Valley, your district, for Fresno Unified and other Valley districts, what does that money specifically do to get schools going in the right direction?
Well, what it does is it provides them with resources to make sure that they can do all the sanitation measures that they need, masks, hand sanitizer, washing stations, all that. But it also gives them the money to be able to put towards the neediest students, to be able to create programs that are really going to be helpful to get them back on track.
You know, we've heard this a lot from even some of our own city council members. We've heard this from parents and critics, even some educators. They say this bill is nothing but bribery. This is using kids as political pawns to reopen schools because the governor is facing a recall. You say what to those critics?
You know what? I'm disappointed to hear that. I think what we all understand, well, and let me just say it's absolutely wrong. The legislature's been working very closely with the governor to try to do a whole series of things. And education, opening our schools is one of the ones that is the most important. We know that children are significantly behind in their educational studies. We know that they are suffering from not having contact with their friends and socializing with teachers. That personal contact is critically important. We want kids to go back, but we want to do it in as safe a manner as possible. The vaccine gives us the opportunity to do that. So that 10% of the vaccines will be specifically for teachers and school personnel.
Could it have been done earlier than April 1st?
You know what? When I look at my crystal ball or look backwards, there are some schools that are open. They're having really good success. Many of the schools have been negotiating with parents and with their unions over whether they should be opening or not. Some have done these dual kind of programs with the internet and in-person learning. You know, I think it's difficult to say. I know of some rural schools that have done a tremendous job opening early, but they don't have as many children as some of the bigger schools. One size doesn't fit all in California. So what we've done with the money is we've offered incentives, economic incentives. Some school districts will take advantage of that, and some will not. They will elect to not do any in-person learning until the fall, which I think is a decision of theirs to make.
Real quick before we move on to a different Senate bill, because you're involved in a lot of it, do you believe as a lawmaker that the school year should be extended into the summer for learning loss?
I do. I absolutely do. I think that we've got to look at every single tool in the toolbox. Longer school days or a summer school program, after school extra resources. I think we should look at changing the calendar for the year in order to determine the best way to meet the needs of the students.
I want to get to Senate Bill 74. You co-authored that with State Senator Andreas Borges, a bipartisan bill that's now looped into the spending bill that the governor signed. When will small businesses start to see the grant money once they applied?
So the governor, through an executive order, used this year's resources to start a program, and he put a little over $500 million in it. That money has already rolled out, and small businesses have made over 400 small businesses have applied for that money. And what we did is we took SB 74, and that had $2.6 billion in it for small business. And we were able to convince the governor that we ought to be spending a lot more than $500 million. The application process is if you've applied, your application is on file and can still be considered. New applications will be received starting in the next couple of weeks. They will be posting it online very soon. And the money will start to roll out in April. There'll be an opening and a closing period, and then in April the grants will be made.
I want to finish.
It'll move quickly.
Yeah, it will. I got about 30 seconds. I want to finish with this. We've seen the governor up and down the state in the last couple of months. We also know the recall effort has reached almost 2 million signatures this week. A lot of people are saying it's not genuine when he comes and talks about vaccination equity and trying to get vaccine distribution better and up to par in California. Do you think it's genuine? Because everybody says he's campaigning. He's trying to save his job.
Well, I think it's genuine. You know, I have to tell you that we've been pushing him really hard to get out and come to our districts. So if you've seen him in the Central Valley, it's because we've been at his door knocking, saying, you need to come, you need to talk to people, and you need to convince people that we're all working together and that it's important to get these vaccines out, to get them to the people that need it the most, and to open our schools. So I'm happy he's going out.
Well, we appreciate what you've done. We've been looking at pictures while you're talking, so we appreciate your work as well. Thank you for being on with me this Sunday. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.